We know, brother, his own father has been tied to the Klan. Trump's language about black people.
Hold on a second. I've never heard his father.
The racism cuts.
Philosopher, activist, and now Green Party candidate, Dr. Cornel West, was on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News for a highly entertaining appearance. And I got a few clips to share. So you're going to see here how Fox News, and Sean Hannity in this case, tries to establish a certain narrative, tries to get Cornel West into a box to discuss certain things, and Cornel West again and again refuses to take the bait. This is a wonderful example of how to treat Fox News if you're someone on the left and you happen to be a guest on one of their shows. So let's get to the first clip here. Actually, before I even get to this whole segment was about 10 minutes long. I'll link to the full segment below the video under sources on YouTube. And the first 4 minutes of it, approximately, is Sean Hannity trying to establish a narrative of how the Democratic Party is in complete chaos. You have this primary challenge with Marianne Williamson and RFK Jr., and then you have, the Green Party and Cornel West. So he's trying to really establish this narrative here and clearly using this as a jumping off point to bring on Cornel West to attack the Democratic Party and Joe Biden. And watch here how Cornel West does not take the bait.
You are saying that Biden committed crimes against humanity against black Americans, and you said his record on race issues, and you called out the Democratic Party's history. Let me ask you this. Why overwhelmingly do minorities and African Americans, Hispanic Americans, why are they still continuing to vote in large numbers in the Democratic Party?
Well, one is, I think, more and more fellow citizens are reaching the conclusion that the whole system is so rotten, brother. You got both parties that are so corrupt with politicians who are tied to big money. This is true for Republicans. It's true for Democrats. You were talking about Brother Trump himself and Biden's connection to Stennis, Biden's connection to Thurman. We know, brother, his own father has been tied to the Klan. Trump's language about black people.
Hold on a second. I've never heard his father.
The racism cuts.
Professor, I've never heard that allegation. Never once.
Of Trump.
Now, I know Joe Biden said he didn't want our schools to be integrated and be racial jungles.
No, my brother, you got to do a little. We won't go into all of that now, but I'm not going to say the son has to take the responsibility of the father. Oh no, we have empirical evidence of that in terms of not just how he treated black people in Queens, but also the fact that he took him to Klan rallies. But this is in the history. But we're not talking about his father. God bless his soul. We're talking about Trump himself. Look, for example, the brother Yusuf Salaam. You know, Yusuf Salaam was one of the Central Park of young brothers who was taken to jail. I was blessed to support him. I live in Harlem. He's now my councilman. What did Brother Trump say about Brother Yusuf? Death penalty,
you made your
not even a fair trial. I want a fair trial for Trump. I want a fair trial for Trump. Did he want a fair trial for that black brother? No. That's his racism, too. It cuts across the board, Brother Sean.
You're talking to the wrong person here.
Absolutely beautiful. Again, I got two more clips coming up, but think of how this clip began. Sean Hannity establishing that Cornel West in the past has criticized Joe Biden, which he has for good reason. But Cornel West takes that, and instead of answering, directly Sean Hannity's question, he moves on to criticizing both parties and then criticizing Donald Trump specifically for his racism. Absolutely beautiful. So this is stuff that I either forgot came out or, it's just one of the things that gets lost in the shuffle. But this actually came out back in 2017 about first his father here. In 1927, Donald Trump's father was arrested after a Klan riot in Queens. And there's the actual newspaper clipping here from the New York Times article in 1927 with a man with the name and address of Donald Trump's father was arraigned after Klan members attacked cops in Queens, New York. And you go deeper into it. A contemporaneous article from the Daily Star notes that Trump was detained on a charge of refusing to disperse from a parade when ordered to do so. So Donald Trump's father was absolutely a participant in this Klan rally. And Sean Hannity, of course, never heard this allegation because why would he? He's in his own silo there. So he's not going to be, aware of this. But then, of course, this is Trump's father. Trump himself has a lot. We don't even have to go to just Central Park 5. Of course, him as president, a long history of being racist. But this specifically on, just because Cornel West brought it up, Trump will not apologize for calling for death penalty over Central Park 5. Quote, you have people on both sides of that. Even though they never did anything wrong, they were put behind bars, even though they were not guilty. The president said when asked about wrongly convicted defendants. This is Trump played a major piece in this. He put out this ad, this full-page ad in, I think, 5 different papers in New York, talking about bringing back the death penalty, or wanting to, over what happened in Central Park, and accusing these 5 innocent people of doing something they never did. And then ultimately they went on to get convicted of a crime they never committed. So, and again, that's just one example, one clear example of Trump's obvious racism, even well before he became or even ran for president. But let's get now to the second clip here, where it's very clear, at least to me, that this is a messaging campaign. In terms of Cornel West running for the Green Party ticket here, he wants to put out a certain message. He knows he's not going to become president as a Green Party candidate. It's just not, based on the way first past the post works. If you understand electoral politics, it's not going to happen. So he understands his role here, and he ensures he's getting out the message he wants to get out as much as he can.
How real is your run for the presidency, and what is the likelihood the Green Party is going to be on the ballot in all 50 states?
Well, we're in the process, my brother, of gaining that ballot access, and my run for the presidency is the same for my run for truth and justice ever since I was 15 years old, which is to say, is real as a heart attack. Because if I remain silent about mass incarceration, silent about hood, silent about reservations, silent about poor white and working white folk, silent about the strikes that's taking place, both Trump and Biden on the boss's side when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to UPS, when it comes to Amazon. I stand with working people. I stand with poor people. I don't care what color they are, brother. They could be your cousins or my cousins. I stand in solidarity with them. It's a moral and a spiritual issue, and that's what it means to have a candidacy that's trying to be critical of the corporate duopoly of both parties tied to corrupt money at the top and militarism abroad, my brother.
So Cornel West gets this question about how legitimate is his run for president and quickly turns it into a conversation about the issues he cares about. I think he's aware. I mean, of course he's aware. He's a smart guy. Of course he knows he can't become president in the current way the system operates, which is why he is attempting to use this run for president as a platform to try and discuss these issues more broadly. Now, I think it's fair to ask, what is, or I should say, how useful is a messaging campaign, especially when on a lot of these issues, the vast majority of people already agree with Cornel West? I think it's fair to ask that question. And if his attempt here, or his messaging campaign, if it is going to, push Joe Biden in any way to discuss these issues more seriously, I think that's what he's maybe trying to do. But that only works if Cornel West is as prominent in the conversation as he needs to be to make Biden, alter his messaging or change in some way. And regardless, campaigning, I mean, we saw many of the promises that were made during many campaigns, not just Joe Biden's, not just Trump's, but on and on. Like, a lot of things are said during campaigns that never get even one iota of support once they become president. Biden talked a lot about a public option while he was running in 2020. Has there even been one discussion about a public option in healthcare since he became president? I haven't seen it. So even if Cornel West is successful in his messaging campaign, in pushing Biden to discuss some of these more serious issues that he wants the president to deal with, is that really going to move Biden in any way when he actually continues, or if he wins again and continues in a second term? Is that really going to move Biden to address any of those issues that Cornel West brings up? I don't know. Again, it's hard to know the actual impacts of the messaging campaign because it's really all just it's a guessing game if it's going to have any impact at all, especially again once the public is already on board with most of your issues. But let me get to the last clip now, where this is great because again, Sean Hannity tries to get Cornel West to attack Joe Biden. And again, this time over Hunter Biden. And again, Cornel West does not take the bait.
Why do I believe if it was your White House or Trump's White House or somebody else's White House that treatment wouldn't fly? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right about that. I don't know about Trump's White House. I can't speak for brother. From my White House, and I've told my
you
beloved
almost
wife,
called him Brother Trump. I heard you.
I'm not even going to the White House until every American citizen has a house. I want to abolish poverty, abolish homelessness. I want jobs with a living wage. I want everybody to have health care across the board. So in terms of just trying to be fair, but let me say this though, brother. Every father does have a right to love their precious son. It's just that your son cannot have unequal protection. He's got to have equal protection across the board. So I understand the brother's predicament, but we have to be able to bring our criticism to bear. And I hope you bring it to bear, my brother, with some love now, because you got kids too, right? A lot of love in my heart.
You know me for how many years?
Right,
a lot of love in this heart.
As much as I can.
You don't even like to admit,
my brother.
You love me more than you want to admit publicly. Just say it. You can say it.
Oh no! I'm a Christian. I love everybody. I begin on the chocolate side of town because my mom and dad. But I love everybody. I love you too. It's just that my love for you means I'm pushing you against the wall in any racism, any transphobia, homophobia, and any
I am against
indifference
any
to poor and working people.
Racism. I find it repugnant and evil.
Sure you do, bud. The last 2 minutes of that segment really descended into a bit of chaos there. Cornel West, once again, just to reiterate, takes a question about Joe Biden, and Hunter Biden was also brought up earlier there, and moves that into a conversation about, again, the issues he is focused on and what he cares about, which is, in terms of a messaging campaign, is what you do. We can argue, we can debate the impact of what he is doing here, if it has any impact at all, in this appearance on Fox News. But the way Hannity, the one thing that stood out to me, out of anything there, the way Hannity reacts to Cornel West at the end, because Cornel West talks about how he wants to, challenge Hannity on his racism, transphobia, homophobia. Hannity's only response is, "I'm against racism." How about the homophobia? How about the transphobia? And the idea that Hannity is, anti-racist when he has kissed Trump's ass for 10 years, not to mention his own segments over his entire run on Fox News that have been incredibly racist again and again. I mean, we don't got to debate that. We could do, several documentaries on Sean Hannity and his racist segments on Fox News. But it's just interesting how he's not going to touch the transphobia or the homophobia, because right now that is a big focus of the Republican Party. He can't claim in this moment when, like, the DeSantis campaign, for example, is all about transphobia, all about homophobia. He cannot claim to be on the opposite side of that. Ultimately, though, I don't know. But I'm curious what people think. What do you think, if any, what is the impact of Cornel West's appearance on Fox News? Do you think anybody watching got anything, changed their minds on anything from this? Was anybody moved by this? It's becoming harder and harder to know what the impact of an appearance like this is. It is good to see, people of opposing views on Fox News able to challenge their hosts and potentially get some ideas out to their conservative base that is largely siloed in their own world. But it's impossible to know the kind of impact this has. But I'm curious what your thoughts are.